In the previous 5 episodes of this series, we have seen that the pandemic is an illusion used by the system primarily as a front for reducing consumption in the developed world and therefore lowering greenhouse gas emissions in order to decarbonize the economy and save the planet from climate change and environmental disaster. In this video, I will identify the accomplishments of the Plandemic strategy. Having placed my anger and personal frustrations aside, to give the Plandemic strategy a sober assessment, I have found that it has been successful on many fronts. It has accomplished the following. First and foremost, it has harnessed governments, corporations, and multilateral organizations to the global agenda to act decisively as one to solve the existential problems we face as a species and as a civilization. No such universal or near universal consensus was reached before, and no such courage to act as one and to act boldly was seen before. Secondly, it has started the decarbonization process with a bang. Lockdowns, quarantines, and curfews have lowered greenhouse gas emissions by 17% globally. The social distancing and facial mask measures are hoped to result in a 10% global reduction of CO2 for the year 2020, and thus by 3% more than the 7% called for by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, in order to keep global warming below 1.5 degrees Celsius. Third, it has given nature a break and has enabled the recovery of many species, showing us how great nature's regenerative power is and making possible much better climate predictive models. Huge reduction of CO2 and nitrogen dioxide emissions have made the air that much better to breathe. Fourth, it has spread the pain as equally as possible and has brought the world's problems at everyone's doorstep, opening the eyes of those who refuse to even think, let alone act with the best interests of our species, civilization, and planet in mind. No more freeloaders. Everybody pays, everybody contributes, everybody makes sacrifices. Fifth, it has brought home the idea that we cannot continue as before and that drastic changes to our lifestyle are necessary if we are to survive into the future, creating momentum for lasting structural change. Sixth, it has addressed the developed world's overconsumption problem, and during the second wave, it will most likely address the developing world's overpopulation problem too. In May 2020, global oil supply fell by a spectacular 12 million barrels a day to a 9-year low of 88 million barrels a day. Oil demand in 2020 is expected to fall to 8.1 million barrels a day, the largest drop in history. Total OECD gross consumption of natural gas decreased by 3.5% in March 2020 compared to March 2019, and electricity fell 3.3% across the OECD. Seventh, it has begun addressing the crushing old age burden of the developed world by withdrawing life extension care and thus facilitating a form of assisted suicide for those most dependent on the system for life extension drugs, therapies, and palliative care, be they due to old age or chronic illness, thus making possible a relatively civilized form of mercy killing, and did this while stopping short of genocide. Eighth, it has taken the first step towards the restructuring of the global economy along the sustainability agenda by shutting down and greatly reducing non-essential industries such as tourism, hospitality, entertainment, aviation, leisure, and professional sports, and by launching economic restart packages that promote green companies and industries while defunding grey companies and industries, so that eventually we can come closer to a carbon neutral civilization. Ninth, it has slowed down the frenetic pace of life imposed by the highly industrialized, highly interconnected, and highly commercialized lifestyle of today, enabling people to concentrate on being rather than having, thus signaling an end to the era of excessive materialism and the start of a steady-state economy and a sustainable lifestyle. 10th, it has placed the planetary security prerogatives of depopulation, globalization, and decarbonization above and beyond democratic checks and balances, so that the interests of future generations and of all other life forms on Earth can be pursued by policymakers and safeguarded long into the future. 11. It has virtually bankrupted governments and has upset the financial markets to such an extent as to make a radical change of the financial system inevitable, which is a precursor to a global digital currency, to the forgiveness of debt, and to central monetary control, so that money can be a great global equalizer and the coercive force to keep everyone in line and spread the pain and the gain equally across the planet. 12th, it has created an incipient form of global government under the ambit of medicine and public health, so that henceforth the planetary security prerogatives of depopulation, decarbonization, and globalization can be centrally and globally delegated. 13. It has shown that digitization and the work-from-home model is possible for a quarter of the global workforce, which has enormous positive consequences for the preservation of vital natural resources and for long-lasting decarbonization. 14th, it has brought families closer together by keeping both parents and children at home, to remind as well as to enable parents to raise their own children, not institutions and not the state. The work-from-home model enables those parents who work from home to raise their own children during the crucial first 7 years of life, thus strengthening the family and closing the intergenerational gap caused by institutionalizing children during early childhood. 15. It has avoided resorting to brute force by using generally harmless lies as a strategy to change people's behavior, without which no great reset of the economy and of our civilization is possible. In the next video, I will show where, how, and why the Plandemic strategy has failed.